All right, Wall Street bitch. How's it going?
Good.
So we're attempting a live stream. Oh, I think it's
Oh, hear that delay
yeah.
there?
Live stream, so we don't hear that audio too. But yeah, it's like a 2-second delayed live stream.
Mic connection lost.
That's awesome.
Uh-oh.
Oh, well, you shouldn't have your.
We were just saying that our setup has gotten so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's like lights and cameras. I just want to say I'm proud of you, Hans. Hans and Gary, the intern, of course, are the two people behind the scenes.
Yeah, Gary's
getting her done.
Gary's pretty useless, though. So.
Well, welcome back. I want to say welcome back to Hans. He just went to Mexico to like the most dangerous, deepest parts of the forest.
Yeah.
He had an escort of like 12-year-olds, probably 7 12-year-olds that each had a shotgun to take him through this trip.
Yeah, I posted a picture of them. They're really nice 12-year-olds. We actually we exchanged haircuts with them for bullets. One of the guys on the trip brought a razor. So I got this cool Mexican Guatemalan mullet, river mullet now.
It's beautiful.
But yeah, end up doing a whole episode on the trip. So, we'll go into more details about that because we don't have too much time before our guests come on today, and we do have a lot to catch up on. So that'll be a good episode.
So with the live stream, are you gonna be able to see them or not?
Yeah, it's Okay, it's working perfect. We're great. Our first live stream, baby. Let's fucking go.
Good. All right, so Hans went to the deep part of Mexico, and he brought back like 30 or 40 bottles of this. Maybe that's illegal.
Yeah, we
But let's start with a shot.
That starts with an S and ends with Muggle. But yeah, we got a good deal.
Mezcal though.
We got a good deal on the crate. Gas prices have dipped down a little bit. So it wasn't that bad. Yeah, this is some Blanco Mezcal.
But Hans, he literally had 12-year-olds with shotguns.
Yeah, check out the pictures of
following in my book.
Posted pictures, some waterfalls.
I also want to say this debate is hosted by Looney.
Hold that up in front of the camera.
Looney, thank you for sending us. They have been sending free T-shirts to our fans, so if you want one, you can tweet at Looney. And also, Happy Dose. This, fuck it. Just go to happydose.com if you have any issues. There's supplements, gummies. Cheers, Hans.
Cheers.
Are you sure this is like drinkable?
It's good. Shep's Liquor Cabinet paid to actually have it shipped out because we got such a good deal on it.
Whew. So today's debate, we will be hosting it. Hopefully you'll be able to see the debaters. Will be a debate between conspiracy fans and the Red Pill apologist.
Or at Red Pill Alive on Twitter. Let's actually do a little intro here.
Ooh, I don't know if they can hear this, but
I think they will on Twitter because they played. Remember the other sound?
No.
So, yeah.
So the Red Pill apologist is a red-pilled general. If you would call, I don't know what you'd call him, but he's a red-pilled bloke who basically shames women on Twitter and loves God and Jesus. Not going to go too deep into that because I want him to sort of give him his spiel.
And you might remember conspiracy fans we had her on episode 13. We had that one clip with her talking about her upbringing in Alaska that went semi-viral. So we're very excited to have her back on. We just kind of discussed some favorite conspiracy theories with her.
And she hates the Manosphere. So we're going to have a healthy discussion and see if we can mutual playing ground.
But honestly, we're pretty skeptical of Red Pill Alive, dude.
I'm skeptical of both.
I want to learn more. Yeah, I'll say that.
We are not opinionated. We're the hosters.
Yes, we do not have opinions.
I also have a fresh bottle of champagne.
Oh, hell yeah.
that the winner gets to crack. Actually,
Oh.
that doesn't really make any sense. Maybe we'll crack it during this. So we should be starting here in 7 minutes. We have a pizza coming, so if you want to hang out, that's fine, or come back, and we'll be getting going here.
Yep. Looks like we just got our first viewer. Thank you for tuning in. We're just drinking some mezcal, hanging out here. Got some retweets going on, I see.
The Manosphere and the Red Pill versus the non-Manosphere, I don't even know if you want to call it feminist, is such a broad subject matter. So maybe we'll see where their expertise is. Because the Red Pill guy kept fight the atheists. Yeah. I don't know if conspiracy lady is an atheist.
I think she's I'm not sure if she's an atheist or what she is. That's a good question, actually. It looks like he recently did a debate on naturalism versus Christianity. He's very anti-atheist, but then also he's
a God-fearing soldier.
He posts pictures of decorating his living room. So it's is he a gay Christian?
No, the point of that picture from the 1950s.
I was lost on it. That's why I got 0 likes. I'll give you a like now, though, bro.
I think that's it. He's making a point life was better back then.
Might have been.
Stay in the kitchen. So I'm curious to hear what he thinks is the issue with the modern world. I guarantee you he blames it on women, because that's usually how this goes.
Dude, I did have.
Oh, looks like someone's calling in.
Oh, someone's calling in. It looks like it's conspiracy fans.
Uh-oh, there's a big fat dog behind me.
Hey, how's it going?
You got another dog there? I don't.
Hello.
Yeah.
What was that for?
It was to welcome you on.
Welcome. Can you see the dog behind me or no?
No, I see pictures, but not. Oh, there's a doggy. My doggies might come by too.
Love dogs, yes.
Oh, is that yours again?
This is mine. Yeah. Well, yeah. Wall Street Bitch also has a pup though. This is Bernadette.
But not here.
Bernadette is 9 years old. Yeah.
Welcome. We appreciate you coming on for this debate. I'm excited.
I am too. Where's your tux?
Tux?
Oh, that was Red Pill who said he was going to wear that. This is my co-host. Oh, sorry. You guys
okay.
met last time.
But I was in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, when the self with me the whole time. This is some Wall Street bitch though. We decided to wait tonight instead of But,
no, the Red Pill guy is still coming on. And I'm excited for this debate because he said he was studying, which I don't know what that means, but I guess we'll see.
Well, I have all my stats, so I'm gonna email them to myself, and I can pull them up anytime we talk. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this thing to work. How do I make the screens weirder, different?
Not sure. Maybe
I don't know either.
Right?
See, I'm technologically illiterate, so
yeah. This is a new app for us, but even if it looks blurry now, as long as you let it all download at the end, it'll come up really high quality. So.
Well, I'm just trying to separate. I'm looking at a chat box, and I'm looking at you guys, and I'm just technologically illiterate. So.
Is there a chat on the bottom right? Maybe you could hit.
Welcome.
Oh, there's a chat.
Josh, right?
Welcome, Josh.
Josh, welcome to the Baptized Machine.
That's right.
At Red Pill Live on Twitter. We appreciate both
Josh.
of you coming on. Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Hans. This is my
Phoenix.
Co-host.
That's what I go by. Yeah.
Yeah, this is not my
nice
co-host.
to meet you. I'm Josh.
He's a co-host, but I'm also a co-host, or we're one whole host. But this is the Wall Street Hans.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, can everyone hear each other?
I can hear Josh. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
sort of.
If you could turn yours up a little, Phoenix.
Okay.
If you could.
Oh, yeah, Phoenix,
Turn
you're a
my
little low
volume
for
up?
me as well. Yeah.
Okay, let me wrap it around my ear. Hold on.
Yeah, this is the first time we got a live stream working, which is exciting. It was a bit of a pain in the ass to figure out. So.
Yeah.
Telling me.
Yeah, hopefully if this goes well, this will be the first of many healthy debates. We're excited to have you guys here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Is that better?
So, yes. I thought first we could do kind of a quick introduction. I know that you both have interacted a bit on Twitter. So maybe if you could just say kind of who you are, any personal information you want to share, kind of your philosophical stance on what you're about, and then maybe if you go Josh first, and you can state where you think you disagree with Phoenix, and then Phoenix, you could go ahead and do the same second and then respond to Josh, and then from there we can kind of go into questions, if that sounds good.
Thank you very much. But to be a gentleman, I'm going to say ladies first. And Phoenix, you got the floor.
Okay, I'll take the reins. That's fine. I do want to make sure that you know I don't discuss my family. I don't discuss personal details. I have children in public middle school and elementary school, and my spouse works for a small business, so I keep a pseudonym for a reason. And I can go into some detail, but there are no specifics in anything.
No details.
Totally
no details
that.
Required.
Yeah,
okay.
We appreciate you saying that too. We totally respect that.
All right, Phoenix, do you want to introduce yourself?
I will.
Time?
Are we going?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's kick it off.
Okay.
Now, 1 hour until 7 o'clock, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon. My name is Phoenix. I have an OnlyFans, and I have the handle Conspiracy Fans on Twitter. And I am here to debate this gentleman about the trad life, what goes on in the alpha universe, the Manosphere, and how that can affect kids with trauma that they carry behind them. So I want to just make that known that's where my stance is, and what the majority of the population I think have and carry with them in regards to emotional baggage.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. My name is Josh. You can find me on Twitter, or it's now called X. My screen name is Red Pill Alive, and my position is that we are all created in the image of God, man and women. There's only two genders, and we should act appropriately. We should be confident and be competent. That is, be dangerous. That, I'm not saying be mean or anything to anybody, but be able to protect yourself and your family. Stand, walk tall, and carry a big stick, metaphorically. But that's my position. We need to act like men and women, and we need to call out things in society when people do not act like men or women. We don't need to be morally ambiguous. We need to call out sin or wrong behavior where we see it and not apologize. We need to be bold.
Thank you.
That's my position.
I appreciate the FDR quote. Phoenix, I guess to just bounce back to you, how many genders do you believe there are?
He talked about gender roles.
Two.
Well, two gender roles and two genders, period, sir.
Goal.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Well,
I don't disagree on that.
There's agreement there.
See, I'm the more I have talked to Phoenix, the more nuance and things. I think there's a lot of agreement, actually. But for an entertaining show, we'll do our best to get in disagreements and see where the conversation goes.
I'm curious, Phoenix, for our listeners, can you define the what do you say, trad life or trad wife? Can you define what that means?
Yeah, so it's taken me a long time to understand what the trad lifestyle is, but essentially I am my husband's wife, but I am also a mom, and I have a role in the household that I have to uphold in order for his career to succeed. And in order for me to do that, I have to have his support and feel that I am fulfilled on all ends on that. Essentially, my social circle is tiny. It's not what it should be. If I were having a 40-hour a week working career, it would be like huge. So my fulfillment comes from the people we choose to have around us, other moms or families that we hang out with, my spouse, my kids' friends. Like, that's what I see as it. And if I can't fulfill my role and what my responsibilities are, then how can the family move forward or succeed? That's kind of how I see it. And I'm not essentially traditional in the trad role. You can see that I have some ambiguity, some different nuances on something like that, but that comes from just personal experience and childhood trauma that I carry with me. And learned behaviors are the hardest to break, but I've learned to cope with them. And I'm 38, and I'm a pretty decent mom and caregiver, I think. So
Yeah, it sounds like you're a great mom. I'm curious because it sounds like you both are on the same side of things, to be honest, from our perspective. So where do you disagree?
Oh, let's get more.
Well, let me first say, I just want to say I commend you for what you just said, for being a mom, for being a wife. You seem like you have your head on your shoulders correctly. So I think that's something that we need. That's admirable. That's something that I think that's an example. Now, as for being on OnlyFans, now, the more I've talked to you, I think you can be on OnlyFans and not be a slut. You are not. You are definitely not, from knowing you, from talking to you. But
thank you, sir.
I think there's a lot of slut-like behavior from other people, and that gravitate to other OnlyFans and other similar sites that try to use their bodies to get what they want, and that's what I'm against. So.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And that comes from the background on, yes, I chose OnlyFans in order to be a sort of niche character. I mean, I couldn't get monetized on Patreon or Google or anything like that until I had so many subscribers and engagements. And I'm like, that's BS if I just want to put a message out there, right? So I chose to engage with it, against a stereotype. OnlyFans has become a stereotype, and there are statistics that show it was 300,000, 400,000 creators before COVID, and then it ballooned to like 3.5 million after COVID because of the loneliness, because of the forced lockdowns. Like, people were lonely, and these folks, whoever they are, whatever content that they provide, they chose to take advantage of that, and it just ballooned after that. So because of my background and the childhood trauma I have, just like, I guess I could probably push a button and say, I can do this. This is how I was sexualized as a kid. But I can also probably change the narrative on something like that. So I thought it as a 50-50. I chewed on it for like 6 months before I even started it. What was it? Fall of 2021 is when I started it. So it's in me to push the buttons, really.
Let me ask you a question about the OnlyFans. Now, do you get on it? Do you what type of content do you imply anything? Do you are there any sexual connotations in any way?
It's what you see right now. I mean, I can't help the assets God gave me. I try to hide. I'm wearing 4 layers of clothing right now. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I post this stuff.
It's certainly protected clothing, so that's good.
Exactly, and that's what it is. But I didn't ask for this body. God gave me this body, And my father was the one who I grew C cups by the 5th grade, just so you know. And my father was the one to tell me and talk about my breasts in front of me and allow his friends to do that at the same time. So what else was I supposed to think men wanted when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, when I was this stick thin 90-pound thing with C cups? Like, what else were they supposed to think?
Okay. Now you're not 11 years old anymore. You're not in the 5th grade. Do you do that on purpose to show off your body to other people?
Not on purpose, but I can't help that I've gained 30 pounds since my medical problems. And
well, then I have no problem.
But that's kind of the narrative on that is bodies change. And I remember reading about you remember the fit mom, the what's your excuse mom, who had the 3 kids under 4 years old. She went to the gym, she prepped her food, she worked out herself, and she was just all like, what's your excuse, I'm sorry, I did that too. I had 2 huge medical issues that came along by the time my son was 4 years old, and I can't help gaining weight from life outside of my control, my depression, leaving my career not on purpose by twice. I had a career. I loved working, but I don't have the stamina in order to be able to do that.
Now you bring up trauma, and I'm very familiar with trauma. I've actually have been through a traumatic brain injury, a severe car accident. When I was 10 years old, almost 11, and I was in a coma for a month, and I had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. I was given no hope by the doctors. It's truly a miracle that I lived past the first night. Now, before my accident, I was in perfect shape. I was, the kid that was the best baseball player, in perfect shape. And I was the smartest in the class also. So I had to learn everything all over again. I've confronted and overcame so many obstacles. That being said, in high school or middle school or elementary, I was in a wheelchair for a time. I had that they saw that I was made fun of. So I understand the trauma that comes with certain things that have happened in our life. And so I'm very, very sympathetic to you.
I understand the medical problems. That's part of mine is I was ridiculed. I couldn't keep up in sports. I have a genetical deviation of my left hip joint, my pelvis. It's connected to the back of my spine. So I can't rotate my hips properly. Both of my pregnancies were high risks because I couldn't rotate my hips properly. I couldn't keep up with my friends. I couldn't walk properly sometimes. There were times there was a threat I'd have to have a back brace and a cane while I was in high school. So I had 2 EKGs while I was in high school. I completely understand the medical problems. Absolutely. And several in my adult life. So
I've been to hundreds of doctors, had EEGs, EKGs, CAT scans, MRIs, everything in between you can think of. So I very much understand that. A lot of people like to use that as a crutch. I can see that you don't, and that I don't either. But I think me and you can also give people encouragement that even though life bites you, knocks you down, we can get up again. Life isn't over. That's one thing that I like to share with atheists. I don't just debate atheists. I don't want to humiliate them. I want to bring them to Christ. And that's something that's really important to me. I've been studying this issue for 25 years. But one thing that it also touches on is the secularization of America. A lot of parts.
Can you explain that?
The secularization.
Can I just hop in really quick before we move on? I totally sympathize with your medical problems. I also had some growing up, I had like loose joints, so all my bones were cracking and everything. And now I'm actually the healthiest I've ever been. And personally, just so you know, Josh, I identify as a Buddhist. But I did a stem cell treatment for my loose joints, and now I'm able to, row a boat for a week in Guatemala and Mexico for 120
Wow.
backcountry
Okay.
ski,
I would love
rock
information on
climb,
that.
do
Like
all
stem
these
cell.
things.
That was
And
awesome.
I know that, a lot of the stem cells probably do come from aborted fetuses or whatever. And I'm, personally, I'm okay with that, and I always will be able to change my mind. But I'm curious think about that if you be that approach, open to that approach to healing, and then also psychedelics for mental health. I know conspiracy puffs a little bit, which is nice to see.
Well, let me just say about stem cells from abortion. I'm totally against that. I am totally against abortion. I think it's an evil, and I think I'm very thankful that it is at the federal level, outlawed. But at the state level, what the states can argue over that, okay? But I'm just saying that the federal level, it shouldn't be legalized. Yeah. So I don't. There's other ways to get stem cells that aren't through abortions, and there's been a lot of research into that. So I'm all for that.
Honestly, I don't know where mine came from, but that's just like a critique people gave me when I've told that. I have no idea where they came from. But yeah.
Just a side note to that too. Like you can have these congenital defects. You could actually have these DNA malfunctions is what it is. That's all my thing is I have autoimmune disorders. My body chews at itself. It does what it wants because it goes haywire. But there are other ways to heal your body. Nobody wants to do that anymore. They want a pill for it. They want to be able to have the fast food and French fries and all that jazz and drink Diet Coke and take a pill to just be able to do that. And that's not what it is, because I've taken the holistic method before.
That's a great point, and I totally agree with that. There is nothing better than getting sunshine, than eating properly, and getting enough sleep. That will cure almost everything. And there is a reason for different types of medicines. But before you start that, make sure you're doing those things. And by the way, stay off social media so much. Don't let social media consume you. Go out and go out for a walk. Get plenty of exercise. The secularization, the secular facade that wants to say, well, we shouldn't we should take the easy way out. That is not right. God has created nature for reasons, for purposes, and we aren't meant to just stay in a room and be on social media all day. We're supposed to get plenty of sunshine, sleep, eat properly. That's what we are meant to do. That's in accordance with our human natures. So if we get back to nature, the natures that God intended us in all things, really, all things have natures, then I think that will take care of a lot of things.
Yes.
Totally. Can't agree more.
And that's definitely a valid point. It's just a little off subject. Sorry, my doggy's here in the background here too. I don't know if you can see George here on the bottom. He's right here.
So Red Pill Alive, do you identify as a Christian? Is that correct?
I do. I identify as a Catholic Christian.
What about you, Phoenix?
I am a Christian. I don't have a particular denomination, but I grew up Pentecostal, and my grandparents homesteaded the Fairbanks Assembly of God Church in the 1970s when the oil boom happened.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, a lot of atheists will say that, well, I'm not a Christian because there's so many denominations. There's so many views on this. No, really, there's the Dutch Calvinists, the Orthodox, the Catholics, and the Anglicans, and the Lutherans. There's not that many. And Christians all throughout the centuries have concurred that the essential Christian doctrines, they hold the deity of Christ, the Trinity, and the resurrection of Jesus. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
and that we have a sin nature. So it's not that there's so many denominations. We hold to the essentials. All these denominations do. You might
Ye-
bring up some cults like Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, that they're not Christians, but
Mhm.
by and large, we all hold to the essential Christian doctrines.
To go back to that though, you identify as Catholic. I have some very good Catholic friends. They've been there for us a long time. And one thing I can't see is if the Bible is all open and God wants us to see everything, why is there a Catholic vault holding all of the books that shouldn't be in the King James
Yeah,
Version?
I feel like the Catholic Church also has a. Sorry,
that's my issue with it. They also had 2 popes in 1 year. They buried the pedo ring, like seriously. There were so many. The Western Alaska, just close to me, the Orthodox churches. There were so many reports and true accusations that ended up being truthful. They just. It was true. This is what they were doing. So for them to sweep it under the rug and not take accountability for something like that, or not show the entirety of the world what they have in their vault, is kind of disheartening on just a trust sense.
Let me reply. For the vault, in the Old Testament, there are 6 or 7 books that the Protestants don't have, the 27 books of the New Testament. There's 6 or 7 more books in the Catholic Bible. The New Testament is exactly the same. The Old Testament just adds a little more for the Catholic books. And I think there are good arguments, good reasons to think many of these books that are in the Catholic Old Testament are divine and inspired. Today's not that debate, but you brought up the corruption in the hierarchy of the church, and I want to say I completely agree with you. The Pope, the current Pope right now, I think he's a Marxist. There's no way. I think that's a good reason for a person, not to be Catholic. But when you look at all the evidence for Christianity, for the Catholic Church, and how it started and when it started in 30 AD, I think it is true. It's just the Catholic Church has been infiltrated by Marxists and atheists starting in the 19th century. So yeah, I'm very much against these pedophile priests and so forth.
It's been done for so long though. It's generational back, and learned behaviors, watched behaviors are the hardest to break. Like those altar boys know they're gonna go and get molested. Like that was the 1970s. They knew it was their turn. I mean, look at like you. I know you discounted the FLDS church, but look at what Warren Jeffs the Warren Jeffs did with his atrocities. Like it under the guy before him. I can't remember his name.
Well, he was a Mormon, right?
Well, they were Mormon, yes. Under the guy before him, though, it was fair. It was, yes, you could have 4 or 5 wives if you could provide for them. If you could provide for the children that you provide for them. Let me finish. If you could provide for them, you could have them. I don't agree with polygamy. I don't agree with any of that. But as soon as that original person died and this whatever savior Warren Jeffs came along, he decided that he was going to take the children for himself and for the rest of the hierarchy and not save them for that generation. I've seen specials on that. It's atrocious. If you believe in that, that's what you believe. I don't have to believe that it's right, but what they did to the children was wrong.
I don't believe in that. I'm very much against Warren Jeffs in the LDS Church. I think it's a false church with false doctrine. I think I can argue that. That's not one of my specialties, but I've I've studied up on that too. So I think there's good reasons not to be a Mormon. They're not part of the Christendom, the essential they don't hold to essential Christian doctrines.
Okay.
So they are a cult, just like Jehovah's Witnesses, just like Christian Scientologists or Christian scientists.
That one's weird.
So
Yeah, that one's weird.
yeah, well, there's lots of weird things when you deviate from the Bible or from solid church tradition. Okay, like the traditions of the Catholic Church.
Okay, so you're
yeah, I think there's
specifically
good.
speaking on the Catholic Church. That is their decades, centuries of tradition.
I think the Catholic Church is the one true church, but I think people that are Baptist or Methodist or Pentecostals or Church of Christ, or I think though they hold to the essential Christian doctrines also. Now I think they have a limited perception of what Christianity is, which is fully in the Catholic or Orthodox Church, but I think they're still within the Christian camp. But these other ones like Mormonism or Jehovah's Witnesses or the Scientology, they're just wacky cults, and that everybody knows that. Everybody who,
yeah. To interject with that, the Kardashians started talking about creating a church just so they could do it as write-offs. Like that's my back thought, is doing it as write-offs. Are you kidding me?
Such
You're
hypocrites.
paying yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yeah, and they're all devil worshippers. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I want to doubt that. I'm sure that happens a lot in Hollywood, and they're who they hang out with. True, authentic Christianity is humble. It's looking at the Bible, taking it as it is, not adding things to it, but taking church tradition, the reliable Catholic Church as it is, the Orthodox Church, the Lutheran Church. So they're all under the umbrella of the essential Christian doctrines. But yeah, I am wholeheartedly against hypocrisy, people who don't live their Christian faith, or like the Kardashians or other groups.
Okay, I'd like to backtrack.
or the corruption in the church, that people that try to take advantage of people. One thing about me, and I'm sure it's probably true about you, I stand up for those who the defenseless, those who get picked on.
Yes, that's why I have my stance. Yes.
Yeah, I take my stance. So I'm wholeheartedly against corruption, against the hierarchy of the church. They're pitiful.
Okay.
Pitiful.
To backtrack to traditional core values, you're familiar with the Duggar family, right? 19 kids and counting. All this jazz about they were on birth control. They unfortunately had a miscarriage, and then that chosen just boom, 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 boom. And eventually, it got to the point where she couldn't have kids. She fulfilled her role as a mother and
she
as
had
a
19,
creature
right?
of God. She had 19. I think she was pregnant with 20. They lost the last one, unfortunately.
Well, that's a lot of sex right there. So we should commend them for that.
I do, but to get to that, their oldest, Josh, he actually did end up touching his sisters, in 4 or 5 sisters or cousins or immediate relatives on something like that, not just over their shirts. He actually touched their full-on chest, and nobody he was 14, 15. Nobody reported him.
His parents
he
knew.
They went to the church and they sent him off to a labor camp versus do anything along the lines of like physical punishment or sexual re-education or anything like that. Now, mind you, he came back reformed, and now a decade later, he's got a woman who married him as a virgin. He was a virgin too, supposedly. They have 5 kids, and he got arrested for child pornography. Like, there is a pattern with something like this, and if you don't nip it in the bud, not just specifically the church, but if you don't nip it in the bud as an adolescent, if you don't talk about sexual deviations or what should or shouldn't be doing with your own kids, not other people. Like we have Bree's Law in Alaska. It's a Alaska Child Protection Act where kids have to be taught about domestic violence and sexual violence. And I've read the curriculum, and it's not horrible. I appreciate the teachers doing something like that, but that's also my job too. And essentially, his parents failed him. He downloaded thousands of images of child pornography after already being caught with Ashley Madison. Like, there are signs on something like this. So when you choose to sexualize something or somebody, or not face the punishments on something, there are absolute large ripple repercussions.
Absolutely. And the best protection against that, it's not in our schools. Our schools are a fucking joke. Okay. The people can't even define what a woman or what a man is in this day and age. Fair. How you prevent this is teaching them what sin is. Teach them what sin is. Teach them that we have natures and that there are sins for certain behaviors, and that we should not do certain things, and that we should do certain things. We should live, show examples of good lives well lived, and lives that aren't good, sinful lives. So the more theological education we have, that is, the less secular, then such as incorporating God, taking the idea of God seriously, of sin seriously, then you'll prevent a lot of this abnormal, abhorrent behavior.
And I think Josh Duggar is a perfect opposite example of that, because he had everything you were describing and he still chose to do what he did.
Well, we live in an imperfect world.
You can't call unicorns on this, because we're talking about whole blobs of people. Everybody's a generality, right? There are blips. There are things that can happen, but you're talking about a generality. When you talk about a generality and you say kids that are touched aren't worthwhile anymore, girls that have 3 or 4 body counts aren't worthwhile anymore, how can you justify something like that when some of that isn't even their fault and it's learned behaviors? Now, I'm not agreeing. No, let me finish. I'm not agreeing with Josh Duggar, but his parents absolutely failed on that, because they failed as parents and weren't willing to recognize something like that.
Well, they're failing to the extent where they're not teaching enough or proper theological education. They're not teaching that God loves people, but there's also a hell if you do certain things. There's also something called sin, and that you should not do certain things. There's ways of behavior that we can all recognize. There's things that we should and should not do. And when people fail, they should be punished. So I'm against the hypocrites. Okay. And I do understand that people, like you just brought up body counts. I do understand that has happened to people because of traumatic things. And I don't think that should necessarily exclude a person, from when they grow up from a proper relationship. But also, body count is something that a rational human person should consider when they're thinking about being in a relationship. That's just common sense.
Hey, going back to that too, a 12-year-old cannot consent to sex with an uncle, period. They're taught from the get-go, in order to be wanted, they have to provide their body. That you're not letting me finish the arc. They don't understand what they're doing with their body, because all they see is attention giving to them when maybe they're the outcast, when maybe they're the one that reads books versus plays video games, So
Certainly.
The outcast goes and gets attention, a bit unwanted attention sexually from a person of interest, and it gets them love, it gets them care, it gets them to feel safe. So they continue doing it. And then all of a sudden, they age out. They become 14. They're started their period. They're worthless anymore now because the uncle can't do what he wants to do with them anymore. What's the girl supposed to do when all she thinks is to get a man to like her because she uses her body? Well, that's that's the manosphere. When somebody starts
it's not the manosphere.
What's your body?
Hold on.
Wait, hold on. This is a great segue into the manosphere and the red pill movement.
Can we all share our body count?
Let me just. Maybe we could do
no.
But this is a great segment into the manosphere. This is a great segue into the manosphere and the red pill movement. And I did want to cover this because it is a new phenomenon that's literally sweeping the world, with figures like Andrew Tate popping up. And a lot of concern about it. There's also a lot of support behind it. And there's a lot of different interpretations of it. And I'd love to hear both of your
Before we can get to that,
before
we can get to that, what I expressed before you elegantly spoke is that before a person even gets in that situation, we should be teaching proper instruction. Okay, we should be teaching about God and about hell and about sin. That will keep a person from doing such behaviors. And yes, there will always be people. There will always be wolves in sheep's clothing, like Jesus talked about. There will always be, but we need to be aware of that. You'll train and you'll instruct a person how to live, how to behave. For the most part.
That sounds like grooming.
I'm saying you teaching a person about God and about sin and hell is not grooming.
Yeah. So honestly,
I'm talking.
Oh, sorry. We are a sex positive podcast. We support as much consensual sex as possible among loving individuals.
You do you. That I've been with the same person 17 years, so you do you.
No, and I have a long-term partner, but I mean, if other people want to do their thing, I'm okay with it. And then also, I'm curious because Buddhism actually predates Christianity, and I don't believe in heaven or hell. I believe in a cyclical wheel of samsara, where eventually you can escape it. But we'll talk about that on part 2. Let's get back to the manosphere now.
Yeah, I'd love to just hop right back to your train of thought, and then we can sort of get into your view of the manosphere. Phoenix, I'd love to hear why the negative impacts that you've seen, and then I'd love to hear why you might think it's a good movement.
But before we do that, you said it sounded like grooming. Were you talking about teaching theology? Sounds like grooming? Because I think teaching theology, proper theology, would prevent a lot of this abnormal behavior.
So you're teaching theology, and the Lord's writings
consequences of sin
teaches right from wrong. A 12-year-old does not know or understand right from wrong.
I'm not denying that.
Let me finish, sir. I think you're being rude with your interruptions, and I'm trying to be very respectful right now.
Sure.
It's been great.
A 12-year-old does not understand what right from wrong is when they're frozen, cornered in a closet because the older adult wants something from their body and they don't understand what's wrong with them. They can reiterate in their mind, like, I don't know what's going on. Why is God doing this to me? Why this? Why that? Why the other? But at the same time, that adult who does know right from wrong is still doing those things. That your teachings does nothing for that child.
It does a lot for a lot of people. I'm saying for the most part. There's still going to be cases like that in society because we live in a sinful world. Anybody with common sense will see that that there will always be sin. Jesus talked about that. There will always be wolves in sheep's clothing. that there will
and
always be
he washed the
hypocrites.
prostitute's feet. I know. Rebecca was like my favorite character in the Bible, like my favorite person.
Yeah.
The Song of Sol. I've studied the Bible. I went to church camp. Like, when I say I grew up fucking religious, I grew up very religious. And it was hard for me to leave the church. We were kicked out of 3 institutions because they refused to accept my father's misbehavings and my brother acting out for them. You watch your learned behaviors, your watched behaviors are the hardest to break. And my brother watched my father do my brother watched my father do black tar heroin and drank a liter of vodka every other day. So what else was my brother supposed to do?
Okay, I'm not saying that there's not heavy influences, but when a person
you're generalizing the bubble, and I'm just going to point that out while you finish your fact.
Okay, when a person gets in their 20s, that they have freedom of the will. They may be influenced still. They may have proclivities, inclinations.
14.
Okay, but once they get to the age of 20 or 21, they may have proclivities to do certain things. But I'm saying theology is one of the ultimate antidotes against this type of behavior.
I don't believe you, and we should probably move on because you're just making me angry.
Have you ever had sex, Josh?
No, Hans, come on. No, let's keep it serious
that's
here.
Rude.
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
That was rude.
That's rude.
I'm
sorry for him. I'm sorry for him.
I have no filter.
No,
it's okay. I can be
I don't
rude
care,
back.
but like I call out bullshit, and that was bullshit.
I'm a virgin.
You haven't have, yeah, right.
No, I'd love to, and I'm sorry about that. I'd love to continue. We never really touched on the Manosphere yet. It is Manosphere Red Pill movement. Is that? Do you view that as like a pro Christian movement, or how do you view it? Do you think it's a positive influence on young people today?
I think it's no. I think it's a limited view. It has some truths in it, but it falls short. When I use the word red pill alive, I'm saying that I'm just tired of all the bullshit. I'm tired of all the bullshit that people, all these shitty arguments that people give for not teaching theology, not teaching sound philosophy, not standing up to these hypocrites in the church, especially the Catholic Church hierarchy. I'm tired of people glossing over sin, including me. I mean, none of us are perfect, and we all have fallen short of the glory of God, and we all need humility. Everybody needs more humility. And I'm tired of people thinking that they're smarter than they are. These atheists, these people who think that there's a mutual exclusion between science and religion, or science and Christianity. They act like they're better than other people. No, I think we all are basically the same. We're created in the image of God. We all have sinned. We all have limitations, and we all need to be humble. And when you do that, I think you treat people as ends rather than just means. You treat people with dignity. You treat animals with kindness and love. You don't take things for granted. You don't take life for granted. So that's what I'm red pilling against. And I do think that there's some truths in the Manosphere, but I'm not buying into any of it wholesale.
Just to make sure you finish your thought, what do you believe are your truths in the Manosphere? And I can counterpoint them.
Okay. I think we all have natures. Men have certain natures, and women have certain natures. But something that goes above us is we have human natures. I think people treat women on this pedestal that they're holy. No, women are just like men. That they have that sin factor. sin nature, and they're
Well, yeah,
devious.
Eve ate the apple. Yes, I know.
But there's a perception in our culture that women, you know, oh, they're higher than this. You know, they're higher than this, and you know, I'm very much against that. I think there's a lot more that unites us, and I also think that men have, like we already agreed at the first, men have certain roles that they should fulfill. Women have certain roles and duties that they should fulfill also. And when you
Actually, a
start taking the
stay-at-home dad. I'm a stay-at-home dad. Sorry to throw you off. And my wife
That's fine.
supports me, and I love
okay,
it. And I do a lot.
You know and understand your role though, whether or not
Yeah,
it's masculine or at
Yeah, I
whatever.
mean,
and I'm talking generally. I'm not saying there's cases that go against the rule. Okay, so I'm not saying you're going against human nature. Certain things in the world throw things out of conflict, and we have to make adjustments. But there's certain things that are permanent, and I'm talking generally that men have different roles and women have different roles, and all the confusion comes down that we're not treating people with their natures. Okay, so that there's lots of confusion in that. The feminism, the ultra feminism, fuck that. They're thinking that they are better than men, or that they can do stuff just like men. No, we all have different strengths. Men are stronger. Women can do different. Women can do different things. When you keep putting men in women's sports and women in men's sports, you're fucking stuff up. Yeah. That's what I'm red pilling against. I'm red pilling against, the opposite of common sense. Whether atheism, whether anything in between. When you say that there aren't natures, that we don't have natures, that men don't have natures, women, animals, that's when you fuck stuff up. And people trying to dictate that or shove down their ideology in schools, okay, trying to teach gender dysphoria in elementary school, well, fuck them. That's not what you do. That's a cult movement. So that's what I try to speak out against.
Okay, I can agree with probably about 50% of that. I do. The manosphere to me is the men that expect the virgin wives while they're going through women. Think about it like this. Every girl is somebody's daughter. Every boy will be somebody's father one day. How can you expect to teach them values when all you're doing is teaching them sexuality? You're teaching them how to show off their body. You're already idolizing them at 11, 12 years old. Yeah. That's how cuties came along. That's how cuties came along. Like, seriously. So when you take a generation of that and they grow up to be people like me, what else can you expect of the generation besides the fight back on that? Now, some of what I don't agree with is women's suffrage in the 1930s. That was definitely needed. They needed a little more of a backbone, and the government had to give them something like that. I do agree that women deserve the right to vote. We do vote. I agree with her. We vote with emotional stance on something like
women
that.
Women are way more emotional.
I agree with something like that because I've learned when I have to calm down, I have to call somebody. I have to call my spouse. I have to call my mom. I have to talk it out. I have to text it out. I have to vent just 5 minutes before I feel better. I'm not going to fucking vote like that though. Like when
I think a lot of people do. I think there are a lot of women who do that, who but that's just a weakness because a lot of women, do things according to emotion, but a lot of men do things according to emotion also. So that's why I think we need to get back all the things you said. We need to get back to proper theology, proper in calling sin.
I didn't say that. You did.
Well, That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we need to get back to proper theology and calling, you know, don't be morally ambiguous, in school. I used to teach. I'm a certified teacher. So I used to teach history.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the high school level. I don't want to do it anymore because it's basically babysitting. It's incredible. Huh?
I'm curious, as a history teacher, of how old do you think the Earth is?
It's billions of years old.
Okay, good. Because no, seriously, my first history teaching job was in a Mormon town, and I got ran out of town because they thought it was 5,000 years old, and it was absolutely nuts.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's
same page there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a view called young Earth creationism. That view started with a scholar named Darby in the early 19th century. That has never been the main Christian view of the age of the Earth. Most Christian scholars down through the ages have been old Earth creationists and viewed the Earth and the universe as billions of years old.
Okay.
So yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
happy to hear that. Thank you.
Okay, so to get back to that Manosphere take is when you take a sexualized childhood, the 90s, the early 2000s. I graduated in the 2004. Like I'm 38. When you take a sexualized nation that was shoved American Eagle and Victoria's Secret down our throat, all those magazines we would order clothes from before the internet took off, that's what we had to go with. And then social media took off. And then now we have Facebook and Meta and Instagram all have documents that social media is absolutely damaging to these girls.
Yes.
The self-confidence, the deviation, the depression, the self-suicidal. I just read an article that was published last week about that. So when you take all of this, but you want that perfect girl, you want that virgin, you want that you want that daddy's girl, you want that homemaker that doesn't know quite how to homemake. That is what any Manosphere person wants.
No.
Stop.
I think what you're doing is giving a caricature. I think, generally speaking, that is what we want. We want a pure at heart person. And I think that's a good reaction.
That's not what I said is pure at heart. They want a virgin that has done nothing yet. A day after they're 18.
Pure at heart and being a virgin. I should have also said that. That's what, generally speaking, men want. And when they want that, it pushes back against this radical feminization of culture nowadays. It's showing that, this isn't what men want. Men don't want women that have slept around all their lives. So it's at least getting the idea out there that there is a different way, indeed a better way, and hopefully some women, a sufficient number of women, will come to grasp that and say, hey, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. And maybe that'll trickle down into subsequent generations. And maybe we'll have a less sexualized generation, in the future. So I think a lot of what it says, the Manosphere says, is good. Although I'm not buying into it wholesale.
And in that, I disagree. In that, these are the girls that are going to be the mothers of your children. These 11, 12, 13-year-old girls, like we're talking about. They hear the tapes, they hear Pearl, they hear all this junk about what they should be doing, when in reality, that's not their background due to childhood circumstances that are out of their control. So once they get a body count,
I'm just not buying any of that.
That's fine. This is a personal experience, because once you understand that's what a man wants, is a man wants your body. That's what you're going to give them in order to think that they will be your husband. So when you can
No.
give and give and give, you can get on a swipe app. You can feel wanted for 18 hours and you can give and give and you get nothing in return when you're giving your body. That is what girls are thinking right now. And that is my stance.
I'm talking about the Manosphere saying to the contemporary... The Manosphere speaking to the contemporary culture that has been so sexualized that, hey, we don't want you if you have a high body count and you do certain things like this. So I think some of the things that some of the people in the Manosphere are saying is a response to this radical sexualization, this radical feminization that will perhaps trickle down to subsequent generations.
Then why aren't all those Manosphere people married yet? Why don't they have a fucking trad life that they want? They're spouting bullshit. They're not married. Tate has kids with multiple moms. Like, Pearl cheated on a man like 2 fucking years ago. Like, seriously.
A lot of the people from the Manosphere and just men in general aren't married because they're divorced. Because of women,
or they're incels because nobody wants them. The top 10% of the swipe apps are all the ones with the big dicks. I'm not wrong.
They're divorced because a lot of these women have these unreal expectations, and they use their feelings for the most part. So and don't treat the family in a proper way. And then when they get divorced, the women takes everything. And so forth. This is what
that's a Pearl take, and I don't believe that.
Excuse me, both. It seems like Josh, you're putting a lot of blame on the woman. Where I mean, I've seen very successful single moms and single dads, and like it seems like I don't know. Is this a moment of self-reflection, maybe for you?
No. I think he's coming from. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it sounds like two different perspectives of a very complicated issue, but actually continue, because we were on a good roll here. What were you going to say, Josh?
Well, I think men, to a large part, want to look after themselves because they know if they do get married, there's a potential that they could lose everything, and the court systems, the law systems, will go. For the majority of cases, go for the woman and give her a lot, the house and a lot of the property and financial things like that. So the man has to be very careful nowadays. And a man, if he speaks to a woman wrong, he could be charged with sexual harassment nowadays. So that's why a lot of men. That's why a lot of men are not, going for these ultra sexualized women. They want these traditional women, for self-preservation, for happiness. I think a lot of the men are being completely rational and just walking away from a lot of these ultra sexualized women nowadays. Now, I think there's some, I'm just speaking in general, but okay, you can go ahead.
Who are you saying to go ahead to? Phoenix?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Okay, well, I guess, like, again, the generalizations, but you're telling these people that this is what the
Do you have a comeback?
Yes, I do, sir. I have a...
I guess we'll all wait. I'm sorry.
The theology states that you want these pure women. You want the ones of the whole heart, virgins, whether or not. But that is not what is being spouted to these kids that they hear blasted to them on earbuds and iPods all day. I understand what you want to say and how you want to change it. That's not what they're hearing, though, and that's not how it's going to be changed. Until these popular figures
Well, how's it going to be changed?
That's a good point.
That is what I was finishing, sir.
Thank you.
Until these popular figures change their own stances
Until
on
the
the
men
bullshit.
change.
I'm also talking about Pearl, you fucktard.
Yeah,
I'm
Pearl.
sorry, but I'm done being interrupted.
Oh,
Until these popular figures change, nothing will change from something like that, because these are the ones that are getting the views. These are the ones that are getting the shorts, that are on the TikToks, that are on, they have the 30-second clips going, you have a body count, you have more than 5, and you're worthless. When somebody fucking hears they're worthless long enough, that is what they're gonna believe.
Yeah, well, it might get a lot of people to change their actions and their lifestyle choices, especially for generations to come. If women hear that there are certain things that are morally unacceptable, and guys are truly walking away, then maybe they'll plan accordingly and start changing their lifestyle. I think that's what a lot of guys want.
We'll see about that when the birth rate drops in this next decade.
And-
I don't know
and
what else
that's
to
going
tell
to
you.
fuck us all.
And are guys walking away? Because I mean, I guess to a certain extent they are.
That's a part of the manosphere, not all of the manosphere, but that's a part. And you know what? That's a rational thing in some circumstances. You know.
Yeah.
It's okay for a man to walk out on a kid then.
yeah, but wait.
No,
wait,
not in that situation.
Hold on.
Not in that situation. I'm saying not even getting involved.
Josh, history teacher to history teacher, you're a Catholic, right? And I believe Henry VII became Lutheran to divorce his wife, and you're saying all these manosphere people are okay to divorce their wives, but you prescribe
No. That's not what he's saying.
So,
No,
but like
I did not say that.
That's not what he's saying.
But you prescribe to Catholicism, and they have the most pedophiles, more than the Lutheran Church. So do they all get forgiven? How does that work? I'm confused.
There's far more pedophiles in public education. Let's be honest here. In secular public education, if you want to say something is wrong or not something is a rotten institution, well, how about let's start with our public schools, because there's far more pedophiles in our public schools. So that's your logic.
So let's take it back to divorce, because this I think is something we can dig into a little bit. Do you both agree that the reason our divorce rate is so high? Actually, let's just take a step back. Why is our divorce rate so high right now?
And this could maybe be our last question. I know, Phoenix, you're short on time, so if you do have time for this
Yeah,
one,
my son gets home in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, thanks for staying up with us, Josh. I know it's past your bedtime.
The divorce rate right now, it's a matter of once they got no fault, once they changed some of the laws in order to accommodate those men that weren't providing. Let's be honest. The no fault changed in the 70s when men just got over the boomer era. They now had to actually provide for themselves and for the family, being home and not from the war, right? So they had to go and do that. They weren't willing to do their part of it, essentially. So the no fault divorce came around when women were proving a point on how they should be provided for in the family. And at the time, in the 70s, it was reasonable to be able to live comfortably on one income, so they could divorce and she could still find something part-time in order to help with the kids and participate, and he would still get the weekend visitation and whatnot. Now, fast forward 50 years later, you don't get to have something like that. The cost of inflation has gone up. Women use these rules. Men don't protect their sperm how they should. Like, sex is a 50-50 street here. You can choose to have sex or you can choose not to. So whether or not a baby comes out of that is your own fucking problem. Like, seriously, I waited until I got pregnant, or excuse me, I waited until I got married before I had 2 babies, and I was pregnant within 5 months. So whether or not people have these excuses or whatnot, you choose where to put your sperm. You stick your dick in a vagina and you do whatever to it, then that, yes, that is your baby, whether or not you want it to be.
Yes. And the man also should have responsibility of what happens to the baby also. It's not just the woman. And by the way, I don't think abortion in any... Go ahead.
You're blaming the woman, though, for choosing to file the divorce, for not providing for the entire family, including the children.
Absolutely
you just
not.
blame the woman.
No, I was talking about abortion. The woman shouldn't have the choice to abort their baby. With that, the man should have a say of saying no to that, because it took them both to have a baby. Okay.
What happens when the woman says no to abortion and the man says yes?
Well,
that happens more often than not.
Yeah.
That's the circumstances we're in, and you need to be
how do you
responsible
prevent that?
for your sperm.
How do you prevent that by and large?
Be responsible for your sperm.
Or start teaching proper philosophy and theology and teach about God and how God views abortion as an abomination against natural law, against all that is true and beautiful and good. Okay, that's the ultimate answer. And by the way, something you said about no-fault divorce, I could not agree more. See, divorce is not something that's supposed to happen. Yes, there are certain situations, but a man is supposed to be with a woman because God has created them that way. So if you take theology seriously, if you take God seriously and what God has commanded about a man and woman supposed to be together, then you wouldn't have had that no-fault divorce. That they implemented that, or they made a law for it. They weren't thinking about the theological ramifications and the societal consequences that would bring with it. So that's what happens when you don't consider theology or take belief in God seriously. You run into all these societal consequences.
I can tell you right now, theology is going to go out the door for the next 100 years until the traditional family gets reestablished. That's just it's a patriarchal society. You have to have the man lead. You have to have the man be a part of it and want to do
teaches.
But until we get back to that, we're in a society of sin right now.
And that's something that I try to help implement when I debate against these various philosophies that try to speak against natural law or the existence of God. When I argue with atheists, professional atheists, I think it gives a justification or a warrant for why, belief in God holds that certain things should be incorporated and certain things should not be done in society, like divorce and marriage.
That's just not the society we live in right now.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you both. I know that Phoenix, you only have a few more minutes, so maybe if you do a last minute closing statement, we do appreciate your both of your all's flexibility with the time change and everything. And I think this is a really good conversation, and you're both invited anytime on to invite other followers on our podcast, and we'll make clips. We'll post it YouTube, Spotify.
Don't think I was too scared though.
No, I mean, I know you know the better stuff. I had to give you a hard time. Yeah, I'm kind of the asshole of the podcast, and you need that sometimes. So
I know, I can tell.
Yeah, I am. I'm born in New Jersey, so that's why.
Well, to wrap up, I am Phoenix. I have the channel Conspiracy Fans on X, Twitter, and on OnlyFans. I'll be dropping a free link I create this channel for the purpose of overthrowing the hierarchy of it. Essentially, is I don't get nude. I'm trying to point out a substance in it is what you do. What you do and how you handle yourself as an adult can be controlled despite your circumstances. I came from a childhood of abuse. I came from both a father and brother who used to touch me. I now carry the picket fence. I have 2 kids. I get to be the stay-at-home parent, a bit reluctantly. This isn't the life that I wanted. I wanted to go back to work, but my medical circumstances prevented that. So this is my free time. This is what I like to do. And if I can't show girls or kids or abuse victims their worth after something like this, then I'm not sure how else I can try to help change the system. Because yes, coming from abuse, I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you. You can do it. And that will always be my stance. I promise.
Awesome.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your positivity. Thank you, Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix.
Thank you.
Okay, Josh, you want to follow up?
Well, it was a pleasure being here with you, and a great intellect and a good person. So I really had fun dialoguing with you. Really hope we can do this in the future. I just want to say that, you can find me on X, Red Pill Alive, and you'll find me probably debating, some atheists or somebody on there. But I'm a defender of the patriarchy, the hierarchy, and masculinity and femininity, the true masculinity. It's in our relation to God that all these concepts ultimately have their meaning, their value, and purpose for a person. We all have different natures, and we should all act according to that. That would save humanity. It would protect us from a lot of the dangers. I stand up against these hypocrites in the church, these hypocrites all across our country, these people, these sick people. I try to defend the good, the beautiful, and the true in all things. Not perfect, but I continue to read, continue to study, continue to live. And I do that. I try to make this world a better place by defending those things. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you both so much. We should do this again, honestly. I think this was a good, and we're just for all our listeners here, we're gonna try to get more into the debate side of things, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thank you both.
Yeah, we appreciate you both, and this will be on.
Thank you for being moderators and calming down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, of course, anytime. This will be on Twitter. We'll post it on our YouTube channel and Spotify tomorrow morning. So if people want to listen to it on their commute, they can. And
thank you for some of the gestures you gave me, Phoenix. I appreciate it with your hand.
I like talking with my hands, and some of them are deserved.
By Pickle Walks.
Have
we
a
love
nice
you both,
night.
and we hope to come to more agreements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was cool that they both had a lot of agreements, which is a rare thing.
And here's Ohio by Pickle Walks, baby. Another good day. Bye, Josh. Just let it go.
How do we shut these off?
All I know is you want the spell, the only spell. I just really want to go to Ohio. It's beautiful. There's cows, and I really feel connected.
Personal and deep they get, and then it goes on. And people get no.
I feel like I have to.
Hans, I
realize
that your interjections are all fucking gold, and we can always.
She just goes, dude, what the fuck is that guy?
My fear is that we get off track and when we're having a nice flow, but we always
if you're the point person to bring me,
that's why I like that dynamic.
Then I need to keep. I'm still recording this, so I need to keep doing it that way. Like, because we need. Otherwise, it's boring, dude.